We are live. Hey folks, good afternoon. Daryl Shergan, Quest for Vape. This is my live coil build workshop, and I'm on with Scott of ST Vapes channel. He and I do a show on Thursday mornings, and Scotty decided to join me this morning and watch me make a fool out of myself doing some coil builds. Oh, there we go. Francis Harkins.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? What's up?
Well, not much. The computer was not cooperating with me for whatever reason, so I'm using my phone here. Let me go grab my charger because I believe I got like an 18%.
Yeah. That's happened to me before. And then I just go completely like dead and blank. Okay, while he's doing that, let me show you where I'm at. I am at Xhale in Ronkonkoma, New York, Long Island, New York, and look at these folks over here. Now I'm live, so you're on YouTube. I'm sorry. This is where I bought my first Kangaroo EVOD, and the shop's been here for probably close to 2 years. Anyway, they're well past their first year. And yeah, I walked in here on my birthday back about 10 months ago and said, "Look, I'm a smoker. Explain this stuff to me. I've seen you guys here. You're not out of business. Somebody must be buying this shit, so it must work. Can it work for me?" And I was very intimidated, and I was very anxiety-ridden, but I was hopeful that it would work. So here I am, back again and doing my show here. It's kind of like coming full circle. All right, guys. Hey, Francis, do I call you Francis or Frank, or what do you go by?
It's fine, sure. Yeah,
Which do you prefer?
Francis is perfect.
All right, cool, man. Now I met you because you did a Vapocalypse video, and you did it from, you own a vape shop, is that right?
I manage a vape shop, and I have a juice line.
Oh, okay, very cool. And yeah, we talked a little about your juice line. As soon as it's ready, man, get that out to me. I want to give it a try, and we'll see if it's...
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go mass production in September, it looks like, so just going to have to get some equipment and things like that. You know, I need a bottle filler and I need to buy large quantities of all my ingredients, and I'm going to do some safety stuff, and some shrink wrapping and things like that you have to do when you go big. So that's just kind of waiting on that. So
very cool, very cool. And you're out in Ohio, is that right?
I am. I'm in Canton, Ohio.
Okay, very cool. Well, nice to have you on. Thanks. In a minute here, I'm going to get started and do a couple of coil builds. But first, let's talk about what's everybody vaping on. Francis, what do you got there? Box mod? What are you vaping on?
At the moment, I mean, I got a bunch of devices sitting here, but right now I'm using the EVIC VT with the Xhale Elite tank, and it's got a nickel coil in it. And I'm experiencing some wicking problems, so just work that out.
Oh, good. I have one of those on the way with the Xhale 150 watt TC, and so I'll be experiencing those same wicking problems, I imagine, soon. I look forward to it.
Yeah, and then of course I got this is a little DNA 40 device. This is the new. It's actually probably a clone DNA 40 chip, but it's the Inspires Miracles 40 watts with like this acrylic number going on. I've been enjoying this with the Triton on it with the Amigo nickel coil.
All right, so cool, man.
That's what I've been using.
What kind of juice are you vaping on?
Right now I'm vaping on some vanilla cupcake that I made. So it's my all-day vape's like a vanilla custard, always vanilla something, you know. So.
Gotcha. Sounds good. That's one of my that's one of my flavor profiles that I stick with. Cool. All right, Scott. What about you? What are you vaping on? What juice? What mod? What tank? What are you excited about?
I'm on the IPv3 LI, of course, with a Crown tank. Running a little Caribbean Dream today. This is pretty good shit.
Nice. What's that company you get that from, those big 100 milliliter bottles?
No Leaf Vapor. We're out of Illinois.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I'm rocking my Powerhouse mods. I love this thing. 318 650 batteries in parallel, and I know when I leave the house I'm not going to be stressed for battery life. So this will last me whatever I'm doing until I get home. But I also have a bunch of other stuff over here. And I'm vaping on, now I finished up my Milkman. I just filled this unicorn bottle with Liturgy from Tally Ho, which is a blueberry custard. Yummy. It's really steeped. It's very dark. Steeped about 3 months. I found it in my box there, and I was like, ooh, nice. Okay, so that's what we're vaping on. I was going to do a build on the Goblin Mini, but it's too complex, and I would have to like rinse it out. It requires bathroom. I don't want to be running off air. And I did a build on this yesterday, and quite frankly, it's wicking well, it's vaping well. I don't want to fuck with it and open it back up. By the way, I drop F-bombs once in a while, if you didn't know that about me, Francis. So I apologize if I offend your sensibility.
No, it's not a problem here. So.
He's about to drop a few himself.
This was it's worth it. It's worth building this RTA, but once you know what, I really don't feel like opening it back up again and getting into it because it's involved. So if you want to see how to build that, I don't know, other guys do that. What I'm going to build today, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The Ute Zephyrus is my ultimate. So the Goblin is probably rather similar build deck as this Zephyrus, and I got a nickel building now. Let me tell you, it took about 10, and I finally and it's really again involved, like you were saying. These RTA builds they can get tricky. This is operating really well. You know, I think about a Goblin, but haven't gotten around to it. You know.
You know, thank you for that. You bring up a good point because, like, I feel like the RTA is now getting a resurrection and a second life now because once sub-ohm tanks came out with these stock coils that are so fantastic, and there's a dozen or more great tanks out there, the RTA and building on that was more of just you know, just a tinkery thing. But now with different metals, you go back to your RTA and they're like, wait a second, now with temperature control, now this thing has a whole new purpose and it's revitalized in the rotation. So if
that's something I've been talking about, is that all my old drippers that I've had for time, I'm pulling them back out now because all the post holes are better for nickel. The smaller chambers are better for flavor. You know, here's this is a Quicksilver with a troll chuff on it, and I've got like got this built in here, and it's just running single coil. But since the airflow holes are small, I just leave them both open, and it's just the right amount of airflow for just this little, what is that? I don't know, 15 wraps of 28 gauge nickel, and and the other thing is Genesis style atomizers. Like, that is the most frustrating thing to me in the world. But I understand for nickel builds, they're great in the temp control setting, and that's something that I'm experimenting with right now. So I've got a crack and it worked, and I'm going to try and build today and see if I can get anywhere with it. So,
awesome.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, so like we were vaping and was trending towards high wattage, high power, bigger airflow, bigger post holes, more metal, and that was where the frontier of vaping. And now all of a sudden, isn't that cool that all those RDAs you thought were obsolete, now they're not. It's awesome.
Yeah,
love it. Cool. Well, I think what I'm going to do is okay, I've got a Tugboat Clone here. And I'm going to do a parallel build on that with 26 gauge kanthal. Nothing fancy. Why? Just because. And you know what? I have nicer RDAs than this, but this is a very affordable RDA that I find a lot of people will grab and buy. Most shops have these around, and they're like 20 bucks. Maybe give or take a couple of bucks. So as a very affordable, easy to build on, simple, basic RDA, that's what the purpose of this show is about. It's not for me to razzle. I think everybody's figured out that I'm no twisted messes, that's for sure, and I'm not trying to be. What I'm trying to do is say, hey, listen, you can watch me stumble and bumble along, put a build in an RDA in 10, 15, 20 minutes, and if I can do that, you can do that. Take control of your vape, learn how to build so that you can go and taste and sample the different juices you like and really tweak your vape, get it to where you want. And everybody should be doing that. You don't have to. The sub-ohm tanks are good enough now that you don't have to, but that's that. And then I think I'm going to do a big, I've got a couple of big box mods that I really need to redo a build for, and I'm going to build specifically for this guy. I'm going to do like a 15 wrap dual coil on this big mutation style. It's not the mutation, it's more like the mutilator, but it's a 26, it's from Vape Fuel. It's their own RDA, and I'm gonna build this one out. Let me show you what that one looks like. Then I'll get started and go. And why am I doing that? Because it was like 25 bucks. It was fairly cheap, and that's the build I have on it right now. And I'm gonna take that out and do the same exact build on it again. Look at it. It's a little rusty. It's been sitting around, but it's big. It's easy to build on. So you really can't go wrong. You don't need to use a 28 millimeter RDA on a big box mod. You could use a small RDA, but I like doing that because I could fit a lot of juice in there and I don't have to re-drip very often. Okay, so with that having been said, let me get started. I'm going to dive down. Anything else? Any comments? Opinions? Have you guys ever used the Tugboat RDA?
Yeah, I have a black.
How do you like it?
Go ahead.
Some people swear by it and use nothing else but the Tugboat. They just love it. It's old school, but that's all they use. What's interesting, you know, when AV, Amerivape came out with their like Hubble cap and Captain's cap, they fit the Tugboat, not this one. They don't fit the clone. They fit the Tugboat Authentic, and then they fit the mutation. So I thought that was interesting because here's a aftermarket cap that you're using to replace this, and then you're just putting a big Hubble cap or Captain's cap over the top, but it fits some other manufacturer's RDA. So that means that enough people own a Tugboat and like the Tugboat that they create a cap just for that. I thought that was interesting. No?
Oh, yeah.
Just using some regular old kanthal. I got this off of Amazon. I think it's Lightning Vapes, maybe. Lightning Vapes kanthal. Nothing fancy. This is like maybe $5 or $6 for a 30-foot roll. No, this is a 100-foot roll. This is 100. Yeah, this is 100 feet. It takes a long time to go through 100 feet of wire. And I build a lot. It still lasts me a long time. So we're not talking. Building doesn't cost you a lot.
No.
This is how old school I'm going today. Toenail clippers. My $1.99 wire cutters that I got from Harbor Freight 8-9 months ago. They finally cracked. So I'm not upset. I got my money's worth. You don't need a fancy toolbox. Oh, here's a little trick. Sorry. Oh. There we go. Francis, how do you like, do you ever build with parallel wire? Do you ever put them in parallel?
I've done parallel builds. That's usually something I'll do for like if I'm doing like a comp build. I've got two go-to builds. You know, one of them is going to be like a 20 or 22 space, but the other one is going to be 24 gauge parallel. That's going to get me a lot of surface area. And it's going to be able to handle a lot of power. It's a little bit longer of a ramp up, so you're going to do a little bit of pulsing. You're going to do a little bit of purging. But once you get that happening, it's going to be a lot of vapor production. There's a lot of bang for your buck in those parallel coils. Yeah, it's me. So.
Yeah, I hear you. 24 is usually my go-to also for parallels. I don't have any with me today. I thought I brought some, but I brought 20 gauge, and I already worked out today. I don't need to work out again. Wrapping coils with 20 gauge is like, that's a workout that I didn't need to have. All right. Just to prove a point, yes, Daryl can. I can wrap on a screwdriver. So with these, you just, if you didn't notice, I bent the wire in half. I pinched the end. This end over here doesn't really matter too much because it's getting cut off anyway. But you leave that little loop. You leave it together. I don't torch.
While you're.
Go ahead. Yeah, it holds the wire together nicely. I don't torch them. And I'm going to do a 5 wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to try and keep these wraps as even as possible. If they get a little wonky, that's okay. You can fix them, straighten them out just by pulling. If there's one that's out of whack, you can pull these legs separately, and that'll just pull it right into shape. Okay.
You know, sometimes too, I will use the parallel to make good space coils. So if you're doing like a 20 gauge spaced wrap, you can wrap your 20 gauge together in parallel and then take it apart, and then you've got a perfectly spaced coil with 20 gauge or 22 or whatever the gauge might be. But if you're doing a spaced wrap, that's a perfect way to get them spaced just right. Is to wrap a parallel and then take it apart. So that's a little trick. Yeah.
That's cool. I know a guy that does something like that when he's doing staggered Claptons. So he wraps the outer wrap of his Clapton, and then he with 2 wires, and he takes one off, so he has every other one is spaced, and then he goes and staggers it. But yeah, that's an interesting concept there. I'll have to try that sometime. Because then they're spaced perfectly.
Right. Kind of takes the guesswork out, and you don't have to stick your screwdriver in there and, you know, tweak them out and get them all. You know, the top of the coil's leaning one way, the bottom's leaning the other way, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
If you're into spaced coils, and I mean, that's just something that I'll do on a mech, you know. If I'm doing something I just want to sit around and just really get down with some clouds, you know.
Francis, how long you been vaping?
I've been vaping. My first e-cigarette was about 4, maybe 5 years ago. Wow. I had one of those. I'm trying to name the company. Oh my goodness! They had the Cigalite that had the little. It was like a cigarette pack that held a charge, so you could plug your cigarette box in, and it would have battery in, and then that battery would charge with Cigalite batteries. You'd screw it in, and then it held your little cardos in there, 5 or 6 little cardos in there. So the idea was to yeah. Oh man, what was the name of that thing?
Was it Blue Cigs?
No, it wasn't a blue. It was right about that same time. Oh my goodness, yeah, I can't remember, but it was it didn't work. You know, and I went back to smoking. and then I picked up an EVOD about 2.5 years ago, and I went back and forth still. So I've been vaping on and off for years, and my last cigarette was almost a year ago. I'd go a few months vaping, and then I'd pick cigarettes back up again. But I think it was sub-ohm builds and dripping that finally got me. I needed a lot of vapor, you know what I mean? So I was needed some serious, vapor production, and a lot of nicotine at once to actually stop smoking. It took a while for me. So.
I agree, man. I struggled the first 6 weeks while I had a Kangaroo VOD and then a variable voltage, and then the MVP was the shit, and that wasn't enough, and the Nautilus tanks and Kanger tanks at that time. It wasn't until I started dripping that I was like, okay, I've arrived. I don't need enough. That first 6 weeks, I struggled not buying a pack.
Right. Yeah, I think I went from a spinner to a Chi-U. I went right to a mechanical and Helios clone. So that was what my first mechanical setup was.
Cool. Ideally, with these parallels, you want them really shoulder to shoulder while you're putting this on, as close to that as possible. I screwed it up already, but that's okay. I can repair it after I fire these up and it's on the deck. So that's 5 wraps right there. I kind of don't like the way the beginning of this one started, so I'm going to come around a little bit and then pull out some of that ugly in the beginning. Scotty, what about you? I know your story, but I still I never get tired of hearing it. What was your first setup?
Actually, I started back in 2010. I bought the Blue Sig, did it for about 3 months, but I still smoked cigarettes and using that, but I cut back, and then I finally quit messing with the electronic deal. And then back 2 years ago, I went and bought a Kanger Pro Tank 2 and a little spinner battery. And the day I walked out of the shop, never picked up another cigarette. So I've been cigarette free for 2 years. And actually, I did, surprisingly, maybe I took a different route than a lot of people. I was actually on the Pro Tanks for about 1.5 years, and then finally kind of stepped into the bigger boy stuff. So now I'm hardcore sub-tanks, and I'm not as big as some into the rebuildable, even though I've got them and do them, but I love my sub-tanks more. It's just because I'm a person that's on the go, and it's easier for me to do a sub-tank than trying to drip all the time. But now when I'm at the house a lot, I'll drip. But I love my sub-tanks.
Oh, yeah. Remember the big dripper? Anybody have one of those?
I remember, but didn't have one.
I never had one. I'm aware of it, but no, it seemed too gimmicky to me.
Yeah, I used a big dripper for a while, but and I think they finally remedied. Jim Green had a video on the big dripper V2, and it has bigger holes in that cap, so that because the biggest problem with it was there was one hole, so you only could juice on one coil at a time. So then you'd have to spin the cap around the other way and push the plunger down again to make sure you had juice on both coils, or else you'd be dry burning one and the other one would be flooded. And it just wasn't. You'd have to press the thing 5 or 6 times at each just to get enough on there for one hit. So it was a great idea. They just didn't have enough. And it's funny because they just came out with that Sub-Zero mod, and that's the newest. That's like the hottest mod in my area right now. Is the Sub-Zero mod, and it's like everybody's putting their V2s and their Limitlesses up on the shelf, and yep, there it is.
Love it.
Same company that the monstrosity they built, that big dripper, came out with this thing. So it's like, wow, Sub-Ohm innovation through with the heavy stuff lately, you know? It's awesome.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, well, they redeemed themselves, because that big dripper didn't really look like a product. Yeah, I remember seeing Grim Green's review video. I watched Matt from Suck My Mod reviewed that, and I was like, It was out for a while when I saw it, and I was like, do I go and get that? Nah, it's too gimmicky. I don't think I really need that. But it was like dripping's answer to driving and dripping before
Right.
before a good decent sub tank was out. So you guys were around when the gear available. I was just caught the tail end of the festering turd era, the iron age of vaping. Now we're in the golden age and getting into the titanium age, I guess. Right. So I've tightened these down. If you notice, I put these coils in with the post still in to hold those parallels. You guys know what I'm doing, but I'm saying this for the folks that are watching that really are like, what's Daryl doing? Why is he doing that? I left the posts in so that you'll see this one where I took it out. I start jiggling around. It's going to separate a little, but that's okay. I can fix it, put them back. Let me get rid of some of these excess leads now. Now that it's all tightened down, I had tried vaping with like a blue years ago. I mocked people because I would see them vaping on that stuff, and I'd be like, why don't you just go get a real cigarette? And it didn't look effective to me. I did try something called a halo, I think it was. Like the end of it lit up and glowed blue. It was just a cigarette-like type of thing, but it had a battery and it recharged. It had like a 510 connecting recharger type thing, and you had to fill it with syringes, and the guy who gave it to me didn't give me the syringes, so I vaped on it for like a week. I was like, this is pretty cool. I think it was 100% VG juice also. I got a bad reaction, like itching all over, and like I thought I had fleas infesting me, but it was really just a PG reaction. And then I ran out of juice, like I couldn't refill it because I didn't have these hypodermic syringes, and I was like, all right, I have to go meet this guy who sells these, and I have to find. It was too clandestine, and I just said fuck it, and I went and bought a pack of cigarettes. And so it wasn't another year until I went back to vaping, and that's what I was expecting. Like, this is going to be a weird thing. There weren't any shops around that I was like back then, so like having a shop is such a legitimacy to me, because now it's like, well, there's a shop, so the shop wouldn't be there if they weren't. If this wasn't a legitimate type of thing. So I think, yeah, vaping's been around a long time, but what did it look like back when you were vaping 5-6 years ago? Mail order, and hopefully you trust what you get, right?
Yeah.
So you guys had a lot of faith back then. You really wanted to quit.
Well, it was like that all, started with all the rebuildable stuff too, because a lot of the shops in the area, we only had a couple shops, and they carried only EVODs and that type of stuff. The MVP, the VTR, that stuff was brand spanking new, and they didn't carry much mechanical stuff. There was like a Nemesis clone in the case, and and there was like a Nimbus clone, and that was it. So if you wanted anything besides that, then you had to dig in ECF and start reading, and then you have to read reviews on Fast Tech and all that kind of stuff. You've got it really evolved so fast. Now I have probably 15 shops in my town, and we're like 300,000 people in this town. It's not a huge town, but it has picked up quite a bit. There's so many Facebook groups in my area. It's really it's amazing, So
that's cool. It's
I'll
an interesting. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, what sucks so bad, and you're talking almost 6 years ago. Of course, you had no shops then, at least in my area. But when I ordered that, it was a starter pack. It was $70. But what sucked about that was, I ordered that, and it took literally 2 months to get to my house, because it was kind of like in the startup phase, and it just, it was like I almost forgot I ordered the damn thing. Now you can get shit in 2 days to the house, so.
Oh yeah. See those glow, huh?
What's that?
Getting ready to pulse them?
Yeah.
There they go, huh?
Then I got to clean them up.
Keeping them straight's always been my problem.
Doing what?
Keeping them straight parallels. It's like when you tighten the screws down, seems like one of the wires wants to go like this, and then one of the wires wants to go down here. So then you're trying to straight and clean them up, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's parallel.
Yep. Yep. No, I lost my. There we go.
Now, when you put those wires through that center post,
Yeah.
did you have a pair of pliers? Because I wasn't really watching everything you did, but did you take a pair of pliers and pull those tight
Yes.
on while you had that screwdriver in there?
Yes, I did. I did on one more than the other because it needed it. But yes, I did. I did use pliers to pull it through and tighten it up.
Yeah.
Struggling with this build. I didn't give myself enough space from the center post, so there. This isn't the best build I've ever done. So I'm doing a little trick right now. I went with a slightly thinner diameter, so which is going to give me some slack to pull them out a little bit. This one was almost touching the center post, unfortunately. There we go.
I have a twin brother who's gay.
Some people angle them. I don't like when they're angled. I find it creates voltage drop for some reason. Or just, then I'll straighten them up like that, more parallel, and all of a sudden they're great.
You look at it. Yeah. One of us lost weight. We look like brothers. Well,
These come out so perfectly when I do them not on camera.
Of course.
green.
All right, I'm going to come up a little bit here.
Yeah. Very surprised. It's like the baby's going straight. And he's like, oh, great. I was surprised,
Glow, huh?
Like,
What's that?
It's a nice even glow there, inside out.
Yeah, getting there, getting there.
yeah. Submarine.
Yeah, that's nice. They're working nice now. Any hot spots you can get out, but just I'll show you what I'm doing. Just brush the coils like that. Oh, sorry, guys. There we go. Is that info? Okay.
Dude, that's why I'm asking. I don't want to taste it.
Sorry. Weird. Why am I doing that? So you just brush them, and they lay up more consistently against each other.
So you got a pair of ceramic tweezers there, and you're brushing the coils with the tweezers.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's perfect. So I want them tight against each other, but at the same time, sometimes one or two of them gets a little too chummy with its neighbor, and I want to give it some independence, a little bit of springiness, so the electricity goes through each. Because if two in the middle tighten up, clamp too tight to each other, then they just skip and they don't go around. You get a hot spot on the inside. So just brushing them. I suspect Francis already knew that. He's helping explain my process here. Thank you. Yeah, I got to start up those Vapocalypse videos again. I'm missing that. It was fun. All right. I'm good with this. It's going to vape nicely. It's not perfect, but then again, it never needs to be. I'm not using this build right here in a cloud competition. Okay. Now let's wick that. Nothing special about wicking for this type of build. Just a regular, get enough cotton in there. Any thoughts? Thoughts, comments, opinions, questions?
You need to open up your Q&A there, man.
Oh, are people trying to get in?
Well, I don't know, but you don't have your Q&A open.
Oh, sorry. Bear with me a second. A thing that says chat?
No. Look on to the left of your screen, and there should be a blue box that has Q&A on it.
Okay.
You're the only one that can tell if you got viewers or not.
One viewer. Hi, viewer. All right, it replays later and a couple of people watch it. Hey, we're not huge guys yet, but I feel like
I
I'm
wonder
providing.
if because I'm.
What's that?
My PC didn't want to do this. Still not. I don't know if it's Windows. I just upgraded to Windows 10. Anybody do that yet?
Man, I've heard a lot of people do it. A lot of people are having issues with it.
I use Mac, so no.
Ah, yes.
Why did you upgrade to Windows 10 and now you can't do all the stuff you used to be able to do?
Some stuff is acting funny, like, and I really like their new browser. I'm using their browser. I forget what it's. I think it's called Next or something, and or I don't remember what it's called. Microsoft something. But then they've got this. I'm trying to do this plugin for Google Hang. It's installing the plugin, but then it's not doing anything once I install it.
Yeah, me and Scott, you wouldn't know this by how smooth and we had a lot of struggles in the first couple of weeks figuring out this Google Hangouts, and we're still figuring it out, but so far so good. What's up, buddy? Every week we learn something new.
I also heard too that Google Plus is not cooperating with the new Windows update.
Yeah,
That's got to be what.
hey guys, I forgot your Brendan. Brendan's over here.
What's up?
What's that?
We're in a vape shop, so you didn't know I was live streaming. This is on air, dude. By the way, I have like 5,000 YouTube followers. They're all watching. Every single one is watching right now. Actually, I have one viewer, but that's. Let me introduce you, Brandon. This is Francis Harkins. He's out in Canton, Ohio.
Canton.
Oh, sweet. I went to trade school in Ohio years ago.
Brandon just said he went to trade school out in Ohio.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Whereabouts?
Massillon?
I was in Cleveland.
Oh.
Cool. And then this young fellow over here is that's Scott.
What's up?
Yeah, ST Vapes channel. He's in Tennessee. So I'm doing a live coil build workshop actually. I just put a power on to oh yeah. I'm gonna plug my stuff back in.
You went to that conference?
I did go to the cloud comp. I have I got knocked out in the first round by Corey. Which, if you got to lose to somebody, losing to somebody cool is all right and acceptable. And she's a cloud chucking beast. She's sponsored by AV, and anyway, it was fun. But let me get back to my build workshop. Good seeing you, bro. I had the screen locked on you there, Scott.
Hey, it's all good.
Dan, nice to meet you.
I'm gonna juice this up right now with some butterscotch from Poorhouse. Poorhouse.
How is that shit?
It's awesome.
You know, that's one juice I have not messed with yet. It's something just straight out butterscotch.
It's good. It's real creamy. It's real sweet. I love it.
I usually mix the custard or something.
I think it could
Or a
use
cinnamon roll. Good with cinnamon roll.
that would probably be really good.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hook me up with some juice there, Francis, so I can do some reviews on it.
Yeah, you know, like I said, and this is my old label right here. The brand is called Nostrum, and I 8 craft flavors, and then I also do this line. This one's called Mixology, and I create custom flavors. The idea is, in the shop anyway, I have a bunch of 8-ounce bottles with pumps that are pre-mixed and pre-steeped, and then you can create your own flavor. And then you just write your flavor name in there on the label, put it in the recipe book, and people can come and try your flavors. And it's a pretty cool concept, you know, to be able to just mix your own flavor without having to know how to mix anything, you know. So, but I'll get some samples out to you guys.
Yeah, man. Now listen, if it tastes like the inside of a sneaker, I'm not going to be able to promote it. But if it's vapable and good, which I would hope it is, then yeah, man. Love the DIYers. Love the story of I started mixing juice. My friends liked it. Then people started buying it. Then it grew, and now I'm going to go to big time production. I love that story because how many smokers become vapors every day? So is there a saturation in the market for juice? No, there is not.
Well, too,
Right.
if it comes, I mean, if it's a damn good juice and you're looking to do some online sales, well, definitely, Daryl, have to bring him on the show, let him promote his stuff.
Absolutely.
I know he will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a buddy who does web design, and I went to high school with him, and he's done some pretty big accounts, and so he's working on a website for me right now as well. So everything's just kind of, you know, in the works at the moment. So I can't wait until it gets a little bigger.
Cool.
So yeah, but it's on Facebook. It's Nostrum Liquid. If anybody wants to find me on Facebook.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Keep going. See, we got in ground floor on a famous guy. Someday when he's the next Suicide Bunny, you and me got in.
Yep. We're there.
Yeah.
This is a custom cap that fits the tugboat. This was made by a guy, Mike Anzalone. Mike? No, it's not Anzalone. I forget his last name, but he's local around here. He used to have a juice company called JC Vapes, and that's the JC cap of much controversy. But I like it.
Ah, right. I can see why. Looks like that bullet, that sparkle cap, doesn't it?
Yes, it does look like the sparkle bullet, but it's not. So he made it.
Well, it's got Delta on the top, so that's already one step ahead there. And it's brass, and I love brass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. It's got like Royal Hunter airflow, and then
That's what I was looking at. It's got that Royal Hunter look to it.
Does it have that matrix on the inside where you can go slots are horizontal on the airflow tabs on the inside?
no, just close it off for one coil or two, or close off some of the air.
That makes more sense anyways.
It's functional. It's functional, and as
And it fits a
opposed,
tugboat.
yeah, and it fits a tugboat deck. It fits a mutation deck, and it's, the reason why I wanted to show it is because the tugboat is limited on airflow.
Yeah.
Those two holes on either side, not very airy. It was kind of a tight draw. So if you like that, that's great. But it's putting out a lot of vapor, and it's quite a powerful build. You know, dual parallel is like having 4 coils. It is having 4 coils, and except
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot of metal, and they heat up. They ramp up fast. This is a little hot.
Is that a parallel box you got there?
What's that?
Is that a parallel box?
Yes, it is a parallel box. I'd be scorching my head off if it was. Well, actually, this came out to a 0.9 ohm, but yeah, that's a parallel.
Right.
I didn't want to be sitting here changing out batteries today, so I brought this guy, and
That's a struggle, man. Battery struggle, man. I've been on that battery struggle for a long time. Maybe I have unrealistic expectations, but I really like to be able to change batteries maybe once a day. I'd like to make it all day. So building higher, you know, getting the same amount of vapor production as a super sub-ohm build if I apply the right wattage setting to it, you know. So
I hear you, man. Problem solved right there.
where am I going to put that thing, man? That's
You have to have a furniture.
Yeah.
At this shop they call it the VCR.
Oh, yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it's about that size.
Yeah. I'm like, how do you know what a
Speaking of-
VCR is?
I still got one. I got a box full of Disney tape for the kids. They love them.
Yeah.
You need to get
I
a
buy in the
holster built
garage.
for that Joker.
You know, you find one in a garage sale. It's like a gem. You know, it's like, oh man, does it still work? You know.
Scotty, I got a rolling suitcase for this, then that's how I transport it now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love
That's
it.
nice, huh?
It chucks, and I've got a really aggressive. That's dual 22 gauge parallel. That's an aggressive build. So you would not want to rock that on a single 18650. That'd blow your head off.
All right,
No,
you've had that box long enough now. What is your battery life you're getting off of that now? So just say like you're vaping off and on all day. You still good?
I charge the batteries every couple of days, every like 3 or 4 days. It's not the only box I vape on, but if it was, I'd still get probably 2 full days of straight vaping off of this thing. I took it with me over a weekend camping, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday, and although I did vape a couple of other mods, mostly it was this because I was chilling by the campfire, and you know, the whole weekend. And I got back, I put the batteries on the charger. They were at 3.9. So they still had another couple of days left in them.
Yeah.
wow. Hey, speaking of caps, if you go to like Lowe's or Home Depot, you can get these pipe fittings, and I just drilled holes in mine, and then I took a Dremel tool, and I just went around the inside of the cap with the Dremel tool and kind of shave it down a hair, and it fits a Doge deck like perfectly. And
Awesome. I love it.
looks like a warhead, like a really wide bore warhead or something on that V2 there.
Yeah, that's exactly
So-
what it does look like, the warhead.
Yeah.
Very
It's got
cool.
like a little ledge on the inside there, so actually it have like a bit of a flavor production, surprisingly. So if you're, you know, and then I thought, you know what, I should start getting these engraved, you know, and like sell them in the shop. You
Selling
know?
for $60. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe not that much, you know. You know, it's not that great.
Not that fancy.
No, I was thinking, you know, but you could get them personalized, right? And then you could have your own competition cap,
I
you know,
love it.
and you can get custom drilled air holes, right? I mean, whatever. But it kind of looks kind of nice on that V2.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it's sort of all one look going there. So, speaking of caps,
Very cool. You know, that's awesome. For a couple of bucks at Home Depot and a Dremel tool, you got creative, you got
Right.
tinkery, and there you go. Why not? How do you think all this other stuff got developed? You know what? I don't have enough time. I don't want to run over, so I'm not going to do a second build. I'm just going to show you. This is how you build for big boxes that are in series. You don't want, listen, when you think about single 18650, you think low sub-ohm, less wraps, thicker wire, lower resistance, but that's because you are limited by what one battery can supply you with power with 30 amps of continuous or maybe 50 amps of pulse. when you start getting into a series box that combines battery power, it puts out, you know, 6, 7, 8 volts. You can't build that low. You can't put a low sub-ohm build on there. It's too hot. It'll just burn the cotton instantly, and it'll give you a fireball. It'll burn the. You're talking about the juice will like literally incinerate your fireball. This is the kind of build you have to have. A lot of wraps, higher resistance, 0.4, 0.5 at the least. This is actually like a 0.7. And look at all that metal. So it's a big vessel for all that power to go into, and it can contain that power, and you get a nice, comfortable vape. My best vape on this is like a dual 15 wrap. I mean, that's a quad stack right there, but it's a lot of metal. Dual 15 wrap 26 gauge, and it vapes like a dream. It's a warm vape at most. It's nice.
I feel the same. I feel the same way about regulated boxes, you know. And I mean, when I'm doing regulated, I'm vaping at like 0.7, 0.8, 26 gauge to around 3 millimeter. You know, 12 wraps each side. I'm coming in around somewhere around there, and I'm comfortable with that at like 40 watts. You know, and I'm getting through. You know, so it goes anywhere from low to high wattage ranges when you're building higher like that. I feel like it's so much more versatile. And your battery life, you know, is just way better when you're doing stuff like that. Because that's basically if you're using a regulated box and you're building in that range, regulated boxes are always wired in series. So, you know, you can turn that down, you know, to like a 40, 50 watt. You're getting it out of your batteries, you know, and it's a comfortable vape. It's nice, thick vapor production. So, and when I started watching your videos, that's kind of where I started going in that direction. So, you know, I have a couple of videos myself on vaping with high resistance, and, you know, with lots of metal. So
I'll have to go check that out. What's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Francis Harkins 01, and I haven't uploaded a lot of videos yet, but I usually put them on on the shop's Facebook page for customers who are getting into if you don't really know a lot. So that's awesome. On my, you know, the shop is Magic Mist, and so that's where all those videos are. But well, you know, awesome. Yeah, just to see stuff. You know, you and I build some in those areas.
You know, folks, when you're face-to-face in a shop, it's not always the best time to learn because, like, you know, I find myself sometimes there's so much going on that I want to pay attention to, and I'm kind of like ADD boy in the shop. But when I'm at home and I have my headphones on, that's when I'll watch videos. I think it's really cool that you make those videos available to shop customers because maybe they didn't pick up everything right there at the shop. Even when you were telling them, they might have needed to hear it a second time. So a lot of times I've gone back and watched videos a second time myself. So I think that's very cool and very, very forward-thinking of you and your shop to not only sell products and not only educate your customers, but to have a Facebook, you know, Facebook to promote your business, but also to have educational videos on your Facebook. That's very cool. I'm impressed by that. Thank you for doing that.
It's easy to reference somebody then, too. You know, when somebody comes in there, they don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand Ohm's law and resistance and wattage and things like that. You know, I can say, well, listen, I can reference a video on this and say, I have a couple videos on this. I have a couple videos on nickel. You know, things like that. So it just makes it easier for me too, as a shop manager, when I am busy, to say, hey, you know what? You can check this out, and then if you have any questions, come back in. We can do a build, whatever the case may be. But I just find it's helpful for everybody just to have a reference, you know. So it's
sure.
It's easy.
Sure. We don't all learn the same way. We're not all going to pick up, all, you know, in it. And nobody wants to look stupid. Nobody in the world wants to ever look unknowledgeable, even when we are. It's very hard to ask for help and actually be open to receive that. You know, it's kind of like, oh, now I'm in a classroom, but I'm an adult. So how about this dynamic? I'm 43 and I have questions about vaping, but the folks at the shop are 23, and they're closer to my kids' age than my age. So everybody has a tendency to almost dismiss the information coming from somebody who's their age junior. which isn't correct, but it happens. So like having a video that somebody can go and refer to when it's not live face-to-face, I think there's a little bit more information transfer might happen. So how about this? You're there and available to talk to people, but you also have that as well as a backup and additional information. That's very cool. I hope that made sense. To me, I think that's a very keen thing that you're doing. Not every shop has that. They'll promote the crap out of events. They'll talk about sales and merchandise that they got in, which is great. But also, yeah, great. Tell your customers the things you would want them to know if they missed it when you were talking to them, or you just didn't get a chance, or you were about to warn them about battery safety, and then another customer came in and you got busy, and so they walked out the door and they didn't get that part of the lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Real quick before we go, and I'm just juicing this up, and I'm gonna vape it at like 120 watts, just to show you the IPv4, which I got right here. It's capable of beast mode. What do you think about? Because we recently we have cloud competitions at shops around here a lot, and it's kind of our vape meet. It's a developing culture in Long Island. A lot of the shops are new, less than a year open, and really our watering hole, our come together and meet the other folks in vaping. If it's not in an individual shop, it's at a cloud competition. That's when everybody gets together. It's a social activity for vaping. But so I was out, and a guy raised a good question to me. He said, "Don't you think it gives it a bad image? These cloud competitions don't represent the majority of people vaping. I mean, it's about quitting smoking after all. Don't you think that creates like an immature or an unprofessional image of vaping to the rest of the world?" So I pose that question to you guys. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just that's kind of a good one. I don't think it gives it a bad rep by any means. I think it's just everything you do in life, somebody's going to take it a step further, and I kind of think that's exactly what it is with that. You know, yeah, most of us do this to quit smoking, but there's people that like to take it a step further, and you know, you can't look at them in a bad way because that's what they're doing. I mean, but that is a good question, though.
I like the way you responded to that. It was very mature and very logical. I like that, Scotty. Yes. There's extreme, and hey, listen, there's people who do cross-country skiing, and there's people who do extreme downhill quarter pipe flips, and now that stuff's in the Olympics. But 20 years ago, that was radical. Now it's part of the Olympics.
Exactly.
I think that for me there is there are many categories of vaping, but I think to an outsider or a new person, for me in the shop, I kind of have to separate. We actually literally have two cases in the shop, you know, and the case on the left is all the ego and really simple and easy to operate stuff, and all the case on the right is for the hobbyist type. And that's kind of what I have to try and tell people, you know, is that, you know, yeah, this is originally for quitting smoking, but some of us really like to take it to a hobbyist level,
Exactly.
and for us it's enjoyable, and not everybody has to do that. And then the other issue that I really have a big problem with is the way people conduct themselves in public. Folks that get into vaping and then they do take it to the next level, but they don't have, they lack a diplomatic skill to those that are non-smokers, or that are smokers and non-vapers, and so they kind of promote this like really arrogant attitude about vaping. You know, they're going to blow a cloud in the middle of the Walmart or something like that. So we really have to start thinking about this, because the way that the government and the FDA and other people that are not involved in these communities see us, can really promote a negative image of vapors. They don't understand that you know, I don't vape like this in public places, and I certainly don't vape like this even outside in some public places, because I just lack the I lack the need to make a spectacle out of it. I don't want to make a spectacle out of myself, you know. So I carry a little sub-ohm tank on a regulated mod when I'm out and about in public, you know, and I vape on it, and I don't blow giant clouds. That's for in the shop. That's for at my house. That's for in my car. Or that's you know, if you race RC cars and you build crazy RC cars, you don't go driving them around in the mall. You know, you do it in the appropriate scenarios, the appropriate arenas. And so I think that is my biggest concern, is just the image that we're creating for ourselves as a community, as a movement, whatever you might want to call it. And, you know, I would caution people to have a really good attitude about this when they're out in public and dealing with non-vapors, you know. So
I have a perfect analogy for that question right there, because I'm involved in both. Vaping is no different than shooting. I'm into vaping, I'm into shooting. I don't just own one gun. I own a bunch of guns because I collect guns. Just like vaping, I don't own just one vaping device. I have many of them. Both are hobbies to me, but just like vaping and shooting, you can go to the extreme with both. It's perfect, you know, how they go hand in hand. You know, me trying to answer this question, but like I said, I started off with one thing. Now I've got a ton of stuff sitting in front of me. Just like guns, I bought one gun. My wife always says, well, why do you need a ton of guns? Well, it's not that I need them, it's that I collect them. I like to have them. So, you know.
Well said, guys. Thank you. And I'm going to be airing that question rhetorically. I'm not polarized to either side. I see the value and the importance and necessity of, first things first, getting folks off cigarettes, because that's a life and death struggle that we all, any former smoker, has battled with. And as far as the coolness of the cloud competition and chucking clouds, you both make great points. This is extreme. People push things to the next level. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is also kind of freaky and weird to be walking around rocking. Would you have smoked a cigarette or cigar walking around Walmart or the mall? No, you wouldn't. So why do you feel the need, like, are you the poster child now for vaping? Well, nobody appointed you as that. Yeah, I have a more genteel vape when I'm out in public and I'm around people who just, this is weird. This is really fucking weird. And you know what? That is just obscene, but it's cool. But people who, yeah. and then, nobody needs it. No, nobody needs it. I don't need it. Scotty doesn't need more guns. The guy who rips his motorcycle down the road and, like, your teeth are like jiggling in your mouth because that's extreme. So are we coming across as weird freaks and presenting an image to the rest of the culture? Yeah, we are. So you're right, a modicum of self-respect and dignity, and maybe restricting it. I hate the word restriction, but
there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
And for blowing big clouds in certain places, it's just not the time to do it. But like I said, there's yeah, definitely.
What do you say? What did you say, Francis?
Tasteful limitation.
Tasteful
I think
limitation. So when we have an event that's not really open to the public, after hours, like a vape meet or something like that, you know, we're not gearing towards the one person who might walk in who doesn't know what the hell we're about. We're having an event for us, for like you know, an open invitation. If people want to come and check that out, can, but it is going to be a little bit extreme. So, you know, get your helmet on if that's upsetting.
It's in the appropriate limit, you know?
Yeah.
But you're always going to have the bad folks in the bunch that are going to give it a bad name.
Yeah.
Again, just like in shooting. You're going to have people out doing shit they don't need to be doing, but they're doing it anyway, and the same thing with vaping. They're going to be in a store and blow a big fat-ass cloud and piss everybody off and just give the good folks a bad rep on it. So we'll never get away from it.
No, we won't, because there's controversy and drama anyway, and then they don't need a cloud competition or a guy acting bizarrely. If they want, they could just mock something up. Like, there's been fake stories about people blowing themselves up too, just as much as there have been real. not more. So if they want to pick, you know, something out about vaping, there's a multitude of things.
Sure. All that equipment's out there now, anyways. You know, you can't take that stuff back out of people's private homes anyway. So, you know, it's just let's ask the community to have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of tact. You know?
Tact.
Exactly.
Take your guns to the range, man.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh, I like it. Well, fellas, it's we're coming up over the 1 hour and 5 minute mark. Just to recap, hey, what's up, buddy? Good seeing you. Just to recap, we did a parallel 26 gauge dual coil on the Tugboat. That came out decent, vapes nicely. I'll vape on it, and then I'll say goodbye to you guys. Thank you very much for being on the show. And let me give a quick shout out. Francis, I don't know if you are aware of this, but Scott, ST Vapes, and I, as well as Vaping Moderation, do a show on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and it runs an hour to 2 hours sometimes, depending on how many guests, and we have had some pretty cool guests on, and it's called The True Vapors, and we would like to invite you to be on that if you are around and available. And we also want to just put it out there, because this is going to be posted on YouTube. If you're around and you want to jump online, maybe do some Q&A, or watch the replay later. We try and keep it as real and authentic and genuine as possible, talking about topics in vaping. And so far, so good. We had some very cool guests on recently. So catch that, The True Vapors, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. Anything else for the good of the order?
I don't. That's got it for me, brother. Nice meeting you, Francis.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, one quick thing before we go. Last week I put out a juice giveaway and I got to pick a winner, and I'm going to pick a winner randomly right now. And what I was giving away this was sent to me by Local Vape, which is a distribution company out of California, I believe. Look how generous they were, these guys. Thanks for taking a moment. Malicious e-liquid. All 4 flavors of juice. This is 120 mils of juice and 3 milligram nicotine. I'm giving that away. This really cool T-shirt. I'm not going to open it up and take it out of the package, but a cool T-shirt, an extra large. So if you're a lady and you win this, here's your new nightgown. T-shirt, as well as Anarchist wire. There's a bunch of different gauges of wire in here, courtesy of Anarchist wire, and there's also Anarchist Japanese or organic cotton. So that's my giveaway from last week, and let me just bear with me. I got a lot of stuff to give away, and it's not to bribe people to watch, but if you're watching and you're going back through the replay and making comments, then I'm going to reward you, and you can participate in a giveaway. Is there anything wrong with that? Not the way I see it. So let me just scroll back to last week. Hold on. Live RDA build bomber with fuse clap. That's the one. Okay. You know what? To get into this, you had to comment. And who commented? Chris Nicholas. Chris Nicholas commented, and nobody else. So guess what? Chris Nicholas. I never said I was famous or popular. Oh, Ray over here at the shop. Well, Chris Nicholas, thank you very much for being the one person who commented. He says, "Good day, mate. Nice video. I was wondering if you know anything about nichrome wire. I have never tried it. I love both kanthal and nickel wire, but I was wondering, on your view, if it's worth trying nichrome wire. Cheers, mate." I hope you're not in the UK. It's fucking expensive to mail shit over there. But I will. And guess what, mate? Cheers, because you're getting Anarchist wire, which is actually nichrome 80, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Anarchist wire is nichrome 80. So you're going to get to try that out for yourself, and a T-shirt, and cotton, and malicious e-liquids, all courtesy of Local Vape. Thank you very much. Local Vape Distro on Instagram. Like them, follow them. Yeah. So there you go. How about that?
Hookup. Nice hookup.
Random giveaway right there. All right, let me get this back up on screen. Congratulations, Chris Nicholas. Get me your address. Don't post it publicly. People will send you a box full of glitter.
Hell yeah.
But get in touch with me. And oh, that dude out in Seattle that tries to horn in on my contest where I do giveaways, we're on to you, buddy. You're not getting any free shit, okay? If you try and get some free stuff, I'm going to send you a box of fleas, okay? I will round them up, and I'll send you a box of fleas.
Damn.
Quit fucking around, buddy. What? No, there's a guy who tried to jump in on giveaways, and apparently he's been running rampant doing this to a lot of people. He creates a phony email and then and personality, and he's in Washington State. I know your address, buddy. You sent it to me. So I'll send you fleas next time.
Hell yeah.
All right, everybody. Quest for Vape. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching, and have a great day.